Hey garden nerds, we're happy to have a sponsor for this episode. True Leaf Market has been a supplier of exclusively non-GMO seeds since 1974. They offer a wide selection of seeds, many of which are heirloom and organic, for everything from vegetables to flowers, grains to herbs, and specialty seeds. I love their huge selection of seeds and growing supplies for sprouting and microgreens, too. Their seed packets are affordable and are available in sizes for the home gardener all the way up to bulk wholesale. Visit trueleafmarket.com and use our promo code GTOTW5, that's as in Garden Nerd Tip of the Week 5, to get your discount on your order. Now, on with the show. Welcome everyone to the Garden Nerd Tip of the Week podcast, where experts from around the world talk shop, share stories, and offer their favorite tip. I'm your host, Christy Wilhelmi. This podcast was recorded in September of 2023, and you're listening to it sometime in February of 2024. This is the last, I know I said the last interview was the last interview from the speaker series at the Heirloom Expo, but I found someone else that I wanted to talk to here at the Heirloom Expo in Ventura County, and that is Dale Eblacas. Dale and I go back a ways to the beginning of the Heirloom Expo, and he is a seed saver, a community advocate, a garden educator, and grassroots activist. Dale, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm really excited to talk to you because honestly, I know nothing about you except that, and I never describe people physically, but you have the most incredible set of body art tattoos that are really tribal. And will we start by telling me a little bit about
I love that you noticed they're tribal because they're actually a Filipino tribal tattoo, and I modeled my design after an elder who had the similar tattoos, and the art of Filipino tattooing was almost pretty much lost to the modern day paradigm with tattooing until I think it was an American guy went to the Philippines because he knew about it and had heard about it and researched it and unlocked it all for generations of Filipinos like myself who wouldn't have known about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically concentric lines that trace your arms and your chest, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And so what is there a significance to those lines? What do they have meaning in additional?
This is a warrior's print.
Warrior.
So, yeah. So there are in the islands of the Pacific, they all have different styles or traditions of tattooing, and each of those different cultures have feminine and masculine ones. Mine happen to be a warrior's tattoo. I identify as a type of modern day warrior.
Yeah, because you're an activist.
That's right.
Where do you live? Where do you garden? What kind of land
Christy,
are you working with?
I hail from San Diego, California, zone 9B. Zone 9. So we get lots of sun. We get some rain. We do a lot of drip irrigation or top watering. And I'm on the coast, so very special part of the country. It's the southwestern corner of the United States, which actually shares a growing region with the northwestern part of Mexico. And so the flora and fauna of those parts of those two countries are actually one and the same.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so what kind of things are you growing with ease there? Or is there anything that's easy to grow there?
Well, so what's really interesting is, I live on the border of the United States and Mexico, and it's a stark contrast. If you stand on the American side and you look south into Mexico, it's brown because it's desert.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference that makes California so green is the amount of money we're able to irrigate.
Right.
Right?
We import a lot of our water.
So when I say that when you ask me if things are easy to grow, relatively speaking, it's because of our connection with water, or our overuse of it, or whatever you want to say.
Right. There's a phrase that says we owe our existence to 6 inches of topsoil and the fact that it rains. Except that it doesn't really rain, although this year we got a lot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what are you growing down there?
So lots of things for school gardens, right? The things that are the most quickest and fastest, 30 days, 45 days, uh, that kids can automatically recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Carrots, beets. Beets are a little bit longer, but I'm a big fan of doing rainbows of radishes.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are really spicy, and it could be challenging. But when you pick a perfect one out of the ground, and your little hands and your little eyes are feasting first,
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, that's awesome for me to watch with children. Also, the turnover, the amount of time it takes for those things are most popular um, in the setting that I grow in.
So you're working with kids mostly.
Yeah, I teach gardening and cooking classes
Oh.
in the garden. So I try to it's gardening and nutrition, right?
Uh-huh.
And I try to tie it all to the garden. So I use an induction burner that's electric. Well, it's electric, that we plug in um, to this to this excuse me, to an outlet,
Okay.
and everything's al fresco. I feel it's really good to get them out of the classroom setting anyway. I know as a kid, when I was a kid, anytime that we could do anything outdoors was special and fun. Anytime you did something with your family that was outdoors was special and fun, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
That's exciting that you work with kids, and I know that for me, I'm an adult who doesn't have children, and so when I see what kids can do to a garden, I get all nervous and anxious and stuff. But this must be like you must be in your element with those kids in that
yeah,
way.
I push the boundaries with the director of my program. Like, I'm always pushing for sharper knives. No, really, and because you got to teach. They're never going to learn if someone doesn't teach them, and there's not any appropriate age. It's an appropriate setting, and if you have someone that's a masterful in what they're doing, and it has the ability to reach children, I think I have that. So um yeah, I let them use my sharpest knives. I bring them with me, by the bigger knives. Sometimes they're a little bit too big for their hand, but I still show them the proper way,
Mm-hmm.
of using them. Let's keep the tip down. How to rock a knife back and forth. How to chop, say, like parsley or cilantro without bruising it.
Right.
Those are techniques. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That will get you far. In your culinary journey, and getting other people to eat your food, in each one teach one. These
Mm-hmm.
are things that I can just show one time, and they can take home and show someone else, and it's that kind of stuff, like that, like, makes me kind of cry sometimes.
Aw.
Like hearing that, like, oh, my son came home and taught me how to do this.
Yeah.
you know
You're reaching beyond the students themselves.
Totally.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Oh, another thing, though, you were asking about other things that we grow. I just want to say,
Yeah.
popular in our school gardens, kohlrabi.
Yay, I love kohlrabi.
Do you really?
I
So
love it.
so many people don't know it, right?
It's the alien vegetable.
It's we eat. So I teach them. We'll peel it, and we'll harvest it, wash it, peel it,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll just do lemon.
Really?
Yeah,
So
that's
you're eating
it.
it raw?
We're eating it raw, like we do jicama.
Jicama.
Yeah, like jicama. I do work in with a lot of uh, Latin families, so we'll do tahine, or like sometimes we'll add chili to it.
Yeah.
To be fun. Other things that we do a lot of greens, because it's so important for kids to get accustomed to eating greens, and I feel like it's a service when we're helping the kids come to eat more greens. We're helping their families. We're
Yeah.
helping, like, the battle that the parents are having, at the dinner table each night.
Yeah.
So those are the most popular things.
And that's exciting. I'm glad to hear that kids are learning about kohlrabi. It's one of my favorite vegetables because it's the potato. It's like what do you call that?
I love
the
this
paleo potato.
I love this part of the conversation.
Yeah, for me it's the paleo potato. I don't eat paleo. I'm vegetarian.
Sure.
I'm not eating
sure,
paleo.
Sure.
But it's like you can chop it up, cube it, steam it for 8 minutes, and then pour off the water, turn on the heat, add some oil, and brown it, and it's like potatoes but with a little broccoli flavor to it.
Right. It can even it'll crisp up.
It'll crisp. Yeah.
For anyone that's listening at home, if you haven't tried kohlrabi, try it raw first. Peel it. I promise you will not be turned off by it. And if you're gonna fry it and you want to crisp it, you can do your air fryer. But if you want to do it in some oil, just pat it dry with a paper towel, get some of that excess moisture off, and yeah, you're on your way to getting a crisp outer shell, right?
It's really great. Oh, nice.
We're such nerds.
I
Like,
know.
yeah,
We're like, woohoo!
about kohlrabi.
Waxing rhapsodic about kohlrabi. Yeah. So when I first met you, it was at the Heirloom Expo years ago, and you had done an incredible kind of almost a shrine, I would say, to certain types of seeds. How did you get into seed stuff and making shrines?
I want to tell you about that. The name of that exhibit. I'm really bad with doing signage and labeling things, and it's always been a challenge for me. I usually have other people that help me with that.
Mm-hmm.
The name of that exhibit was Rare Seeds and Prayer Beads. All the major religions, not all of them, but a lot of them use prayer beads in their practice, right? In their philosophies. Japa beads from India, mala beads also from Indian Asia. You have in the Islam faith, they use prayer beads as well. I forget the name of them. Catholics use rosaries, right?
Yeah.
And if you look back, they all used seeds. You know, I mean, it's a normal thing to go to because they're the natural bead, right?
Yeah.
It's probably the first bead. And so when I started doing that, it started with the rosary because I knew for sure that I could find rosaries that were made from seeds from different cultures. I got some from beans that were in Italy, and then I was like, wait, there's japa beads, there's mala beads, those are seeds, and I found like so many more, and things made from Job's tears.
Job's tears have a hole in them, don't they?
Automatically,
yeah.
And the whole thing was it all made sense, and then I did this big mural, the Virgin Mary, to represent like the sacred feminine, in rare Peruvian corn. A lot of it came from Joseph Simcock's original expedition.
Oh, okay.
To Peru, him and his brother.
Whose name I can't remember right now. Yeah.
That's what that was about. Yeah.
It was really beautiful, and I think you've done some since then, haven't you? I mean, you did the welcome sign here in the room we're in right now. We're in the kids' hall, I should say, and there's this twinkling music going on in the background. And listeners, you'll never guess what this is. Dale, will you explain it?
Yes, if you guys can hear that ethereal music that's gracing us, it's actually the sounds of a plant, a vegetable, a tree collard that's in a pot that's playing the music. So we have electrodes hooked up to the soil and to the leaf, and then that's connected to a little machine that like interprets the sound wave or the vibrations from it, and it's connected to a speaker, and that's what you hear. So everything that's alive and things that are not alive all give vibrations. Rocks give vibrations. Crystals, right?
Right.
Give vibrations. Everything puts off energy in a form of either sound or heat or love, or anger, whatever these things are feeling. You can see them with infrared cameras, right? You can see the heat signature. Some people say they can see auras, But what you're hearing is the expression of this plant.
Of a tree collard.
It's
amazing to me.
Yeah, and I tried to make it change sounds, but I think it's just tree collards are so steadfast, and they're hard to kill, like they're very resilient.
God. I have a 10-foot tall tree collard.
Yeah, the purple or purple or
the
green?
Purple.
Yeah.
I have a couple of each, but the one that is the tallest right now.
Do you use it as a mother? Do you take branches and make?
I do. I make cuttings from it all the time and stick them in the ground and hope for the best. What I've done though is my chickens really love them, and they're particular. They prefer the purple tree kale.
Interesting.
Over my annual kale. It's the weirdest thing ever. Yeah. So they're.
Do you love how chooks are so picky?
Yeah, they're picky.
Picky even. Yeah, very particular.
Isn't it funny? So I'm gonna be hearing this sound in my mind when I'm out in my garden now, listening, kind of looking at my tree collards.
What's really cool is that each plant will make a different, it's hard to interpret the difference between the different plants if you're using this type of sound. But they definitely make there's a different pattern, We've hooked them up to mushrooms. We've hooked them up to flowers. Yeah.
And what have those sounded like?
Well, you could also change the sound, the
Uh-huh.
types of sound. Like you
Yeah,
can choose like flutes.
I see.
It to translate
Because
to
you're
flutes.
basically putting it through a synthesizer.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
it's
a
just a really
yeah.
small handheld one. Looks like a oversized iPod.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty rudimentary as far as electronics go.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when
some of the
oh
other things that
yeah,
you were
go ahead.
asking me about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, I got to do an exhibit for Baker Creek that was based on seed pack art, and so we did. Jer acquired the old Ferry Morse company. Believe it's the old Ferry Morse company.
It was not.
Did you see the
It wasn't Ferry Morse. It's Comstock.
Comstock?
It's
High
Comstock.
five.
Yes.
There's a couple of brain cells here working,
It's
and
it's been a
so,
long week.
but when he acquired it, they had warehouses. They still do, I think. I don't know if they cleared them out yet of just vintage things. So he gave me all these vintage seed packs from like 100 years old. I still have some, and I did an exhibit with it. And so the idea was based on a small exhibit that I did, which was just seed pack art. I was just so um, enamored by like the diversity of today's CPAC art and the different styles. Like Baker Creek clearly has its own
They
style,
have their
right?
thing. But then there's Hudson Valley Seed
Hudson,
Library.
they kill it, right? They're
They
killing
are
it, yeah.
amazing. They
They're,
commission their seed packet designs.
I just want to take this moment to like claim some part of it because this is my generation of people.
Uh-huh. Nice. It's so great. The creativity.
Also, have you seen All Good Things Organic?
I have not.
It's local. They're from Ojai. They started out as
They're an Ojai Seed
they're in
Company.
Ojai, yeah.
Yeah.
So they started out as a um, uh, public was it crowdsourcing?
Yeah, crowdsourcing.
Yeah, so they crowdsourced the funding, right?
Yeah.
It was, I think it might have been a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And then they met it and exceeded it. And for all you guys listening out there, I don't know if they sell these in your area if you're listening, but you can find it online. And even if you're not looking to buy seeds, have a look because their seed packet art is gorgeous.
Okay.
Like it's their own style, and it's some of my favorite. I mean, you see, there's also Epic Seeds.
Yes.
They they tell you about the grower on the back. Heart be still, right?
Right.
Um,
Because Epic Seeds is in connection. Are they connected? They're connected with a nonprofit organization that helps steward.
yes, the Garden's Edge, I believe it's
Garden's
called.
Edge.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what it is.
They're doing, and this term gets thrown around a lot. They're doing God's work, really.
Yep.
They're helping to bring attention to the plights that face the tribe down there, and also giving them work by bringing them up to teach ways to save amaranth and to grow amaranth. Their seed packs will give you the name and a little bit of the story of the person that grew the seeds that you're buying,
Yeah.
and is beautiful,
It is beautiful. What else do I want to
Are we
ask?
going on a tangent here?
I know we are. I'm trying to
I
think
feel
of.
like we're just old friends that catching up.
It's true, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to title this talk, this conversation, because we are covering a lot of things. Because you've touched on beauty and art through and around plants. You've touched on seeds and the importance of saving them and sharing them and the cultures that are tied to them. I don't know what to call this conversation.
It's hard. You know what? Let's talk about that part. Like, I've always struggled with wanting to like have some kind of identity, and be really good at the one thing, but I'm not really great at any one thing, and I'm okay with that. Like I've come to grips with the fact that there's a bunch of things I'm good at, and maybe not so great at. I mean, that's okay. So to say that I'm this one thing or another thing isn't always so true because I'm all these different things, and I'm also what people need me to be. Need me to be, if which is with equity, right? So equity versus equality. Equality is giving everyone equally, um, versus equity is giving people what it is that they need and meeting their needs.
Right.
So working with a nonprofit right now, what they need is is composting. So that's what I'm stepping up to do. In the school garden, it's right now it's post COVID, post pandemic. Um, it's a post-pandemic world, so teaching these young kids like how to relate with other people because they were in lockdown.
Yeah.
It's still a thing,
Yeah.
even though they've been in school for a while. You could see some of that trauma.
Yeah, the social interaction issue is still big.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
whether you believe in it being a disease that happened or not, or what it was about, is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the impact.
The impact
of what
it had.
happened.
Yeah. And I'm just noticing that you have a tattoo of garlic on your
Good eye.
hand. What is
Only
that about?
only gardeners really, or culinary people like chefs are always like, is that garlic? Is that a hard neck?
It's a hard neck.
Yeah. So this was a gift to myself for um, my 40th birthday. I'm aging myself here.
That's all right. I'm way older than
Yeah,
you.
and I have it on my hand, back of my hand. Christine's looking at my arm, and it goes up on over my wrist, and yeah, it's probably my most prized tattoo.
It's wonderful. Does it? So the significance is.
Um, it's probably one of the first things in the kitchen I learned. It's the first thing in my mother's pan. It's always the first thing in her pot. Was garlic. So it's the trick that I use now to get kids excited when I cook, is putting garlic and onion in the pan, letting them see what it smells like raw, seeing what it smells like raw and crushed, and then seeing what it smells like after you put it on some heat with a little bit of oil, how it changes, and how they get excited from it being so too pungent, and then becoming
Mellow.
and making your stomach growl, your mouth water, right?
Yeah.
One of my earliest memories is that smell.
I have no tattoos, by the way, so we are
Hey,
the
that's
opposite.
okay.
We're the exact opposite. I'm a rarity, I guess, these days. So I'm going to jump to tip time.
Tip time.
It's tip time. This is a chance for you to share one of your favorite tips with the Garden Nerd audience. It can be about growing or seed saving or cooking things from the garden, whatever you want.
Cool. So my tip is, if you don't have space, try anyway. You can grow tons of things in pots. And if you have an HOA, encroach on that line. Push that boundary. Make friends with your neighbors and get people to be on your side. Some of my favorite things to grow in a pot on your porch or in front of your house where someone like an HOA could see, pineapple, because it's a bromeliad and it's beautiful and it looks like a cactus or something, but it gives you fruit. And each year you'll get more.
That's awesome. I actually have a pineapple that has set a fruit.
Already,
I'm so excited.
Are you waiting for it to fill out all the way?
So it's about 3 inches tall at this point, and it's still kind of grayish.
Is it in the ground or in a pot?
It's in a pot.
See what we're talking exactly what I'm talking about.
It's perfect. So
it's a fun plant. It doesn't need too much water, and it's beautiful, right?
It is. It is beautiful. Well, Dale, thank you so much.
Christy, thank you for
spending
time
with me. Where do people find you?
I'm on Instagram. The easiest way to find me is in a garden somewhere, with dirt in my hands, not wanting to be seen because I'm sweating. Usually have a garden hat on, a little bit of SPF on my face. Otherwise, I'm on Instagram. Daletron is my name, so it's DALETRON _. And that's it, really. Yeah.
All right. So, Garden Nerds, I will post a link to Dale's Instagram page on Gardenerd.com this week. I will also find some other fun and interesting thing, probably some photos from previous exhibits that Dale has created at the Heirloom Expo. And you'll find that in the blog post that goes along with this podcast. That's it for this week. Subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Visit us for tons of free gardening information at Gardenerd.com. Consider becoming a Patreon subscriber to support the free stuff we do at Gardenerd. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under Gardenerd1, on Facebook as Gardenerd.com, and of course, our Gardenerd YouTube channel. Happy gardening!